improvements. It won't be $50,000 in utilities and stuff. So we already pay a bit over there, but certainly not that much. Did we lose Mark?
Oh, we did.
I know he's being very kind because he's at the beach. Roberto, have you officially met Cindy Marquez from the Attorney General's office?
No.
Hi,
Okay.
Roberto.
Counsel.
Yes, sir. I'm the Senior
Cool.
Assistant Attorney General. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
And Nathan Sanford is also on. Nathan is our board secretary.
Hi, Nathan.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody.
And I don't know if you got officially introduced to Mark.
He's
Mark,
back. Stop talking about him.
Mark is just.
I'm out here in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina, and it's not easy maintaining a signal. So
North
right.
Carolina, that's God's country. Oh, wait a minute, so is Martinsville.
yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
But welcome and thanks for joining us, Cindy, for sure.
Thank you so much, sir.
And I think we have everyone. Jennifer, unexpected, I guess she had to attend a funeral. I have no details. And Lisa, of course, is going to be absent.
All righty. I'm just going to try to, do you want me to just walk through this, Joe? Is that?
Yep. And I'll
okay,
be happy to
great.
do the heavy lifting where needed.
Yeah, that's not a problem. So, yeah, I think as Joe mentioned, Lisa is not going to be joining us this meeting. And Joe, I think we should, as a function of this discussion, if we can, just carefully just decide how we want to express that she is away from this meeting for X reason.
Well, she won't need to. She won't be there, so she won't officially report in why she's absent.
Okay.
Correct.
But Nathan, yeah, I guess as you tend to maintain the roster for the meetings and so forth, I think it's fair enough just to say that she's out for personal reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we usually just try to keep it pretty vague in terms of categorization if and when we need to.
Right.
Great. That works. Okay. So as a function of the discussions tomorrow, then I'll try and kick us off and keep us on track. And we'll start obviously with approving the minutes of the last meeting. And hopefully there's nothing there. And then, of course, walking through each of the individual reports of the committees, and obviously from the chair's report, you just want me to read through that, Joe? Is that how would you like that read, or how would you? I've got obviously got my copy here, and
yeah, just go through the notes. If any of it needs elaborating, myself or one of the team can jump in.
Okay, fair enough. And then, did you say Cord would not be around tomorrow?
My impression was he was going to be here for this meeting and for tomorrow's meeting.
Okay. All right.
So I know he, like so many other people, are wearing multiple hats at his job, and as such, it could have been that he's still engaged with a class or something.
Okay. All right. And obviously, as part of the chair's report, sorry, I'm just trying to get back to my pieces of paper here. We'll do the introduction of Bethany, and then and have Christy do her deep dive. So
that's right. Yeah. So Bethany will give 5 minutes. Christy's going to do maybe about 5 minutes as well, like we did at last board meeting.
Okay, great. Nothing from Melanie, but you do want to mention, as you noted to me, that we will be having some nominations coming up in the spring. So
yeah, I just want to make sure everyone's aware that if they're up and available, and I think as I remember, everyone who has an expiring term is available. I'm sorry, not available, but eligible to be reappointed. But they will probably want to touch base with their local delegate to gain that person's support within the Office of Appointments.
Correct. Okay. I had a go through the treasurer's report. I didn't have anything glaring, but I mean,
Hey,
to me,
Mark, hey,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but we do
Yeah.
have an agenda. We do have an executive committee agenda.
yeah, I'm looking at it over here. So the next one was the treasurer's report, right?
Okay, well, we didn't approve minutes. That they're on.
Okay.
on
Oh,
page
I'm
2 and
sorry.
3.
I thought this was basically going back over the back over the tomorrow's meeting. Okay, so yes, so
No,
can we get a motion to approve the minutes of the last executive committee?
So moved.
And
right.
I'll second it. I didn't notice any errors.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that, Joe.
Gotcha.
And then the chair's report. So I did get a note from staff that they are well into the final preparation or got the final report of the annual report done, and they're looking for a submission from the board of directors, board of trustees to for about 250 word opening statement. I have not put that together at this point. Joe, is that something you let me try to put together overnight, or what would you like? How do we want to approach that?
We would like to wrap this up in September, and then by October, what we're going to do is take it essentially an abridged version of that and enter it online to the governor's office.
All right. So what I'll say is then, without objection, that I'll take a stab at it and then pass it to other members of the executive committee for their comment, and then we can push it to the full board all via electronic means. Does that make sense?
I think that works. Did any of the team, like Mary Zell, did they send you a copy of the larger kind of flashier annual report draft yet?
I believe I did. I'm looking at I'm behind on emails.
Yeah, no, it's no big deal. But it might help inspire you or help you couch your message.
Yep.
Okay.
Happy to get at that. Right. So, okay. In terms of the state budget and the current status, Joe, you want to comment on that a little bit?
It is what it is, as you
Yeah.
all know. No state agency has a finalized budget right now. We're all encouraged, to continue business as usual. There is no expectation that there's going to be anything but level funding. And I think a lot of the negotiations kind of stem around the concept of tax cuts versus special projects and so forth. So I just don't have a timeline when our budget is going to be approved, and we know exactly what it is, but we are going forward as though we have the same budget as last year.
Okay. All righty.
Everyone's in the same boat.
Yeah. And but you did have a chance. Joe did have a chance to meet with the governor and all the other heads of agencies and get word from the top down as to the marching orders of how he wants to look at the business of government. And so I don't think there were any real surprises there. Let's keep things buttoned up, and let's look for opportunities to be efficient. So, and I don't think that's anything different than what we're doing in our own operations.
No, I don't think anything's going to impact what we do. So really, we just need to see what happens with new construction, and where he puts that into his priority list when he comes out with his budget.
Right. Okay. I guess since in Cord's absence, I think all of you got a copy of the report that's got the P&L balance sheet, so to speak. I call it more of a P&L, but I mean, and it continues to show the same sort of trend that we saw last time, that our operating revenues, operating funds are above our plan level, and expenditures are below. And so netting out in a healthy position right now at this point. So, I hopefully we'll see Cord in the morning. He can give any more details, any questions that people might have. There are, obviously a few things that are significantly higher, but I think they're all basically the same things that were significantly higher the last time we talked in terms of the revenues, right?
Yeah, done really well with grants and programming. Obviously with the admissions, that budgeted number of 44,000 is something that was based upon the previous year. It's just how we do business here. And of course, we're going to adjust that further. So we're just doing really well. Expenses were not really an issue. Some of the areas where we're have overspent are compensated by other areas, such as say like equipment versus contractual services and so forth. Where we have a large number towards the bottom there, that was just printing costs, and it was a matter of $500 versus $1,200. So it's a very small amount of money we're talking about where the overages are. So, and yeah, we have plenty of carryover to start the new fiscal year. So we started off in really good shape.
All right. Can you just refresh, from my perspective, Joe, the contractual services on the expense line and what that includes? Because that's really the major dollar piece that pops over.
Yeah, that comes in a few different flavors for us. So there's some contractors that we used for everything from maintenance and elevator maintenance, mechanical systems, and so forth. So that was part of that. The other kind of flavor of that is Virginia Information Technology Agency, which we do pay out quite a bit of money to every year. And it's not unusual to get unexpected increases in services, increases in the cost of services, I should say.
Right.
So, yeah, but again, that was, what was one that was lower? Come on now. Equipment maintenance. We did less in equipment maintenance by about 50%, which kind of got rolled into the contractual services because the contractual services took care of what we would normally spend some money on. So there's a bit of an offsetting factor.
There's always swings and roundabouts. So
it's exactly right. We just kind of go with the flow. Building's 15 years old now. It's starting to make weird noises, and we got to keep an eye on things. Doing the energy savings project was just an amazing windfall of luck there, because the timing worked out such that, even though we have the same HVAC system, it is A, slightly modified, but B, the professionals that came in and worked on it were able to tweak a lot of the systems. So even though it's 15 years old, it's humming along at pretty high efficiency. And you can even notice in the building that it's working a lot better.
And as we go into subsequent year budgets, we'll see some of that shifting between those line items, as well as we take into account the actual of the prior year. So
I hope so. Yeah, that's the thought.
Yeah, Joe, I have a question on the budget. I know we're waiting for the word from the state. So what does the museum actually put together in terms of a budget request? Do you actually submit a budget request, or do you just wait to see what the state gives you once that's actually approved?
No, what we would normally do is we would put in, and we did put in our budget request, and it's fairly similar to what we would have put in the last biennium, right? As well, except there are certain formulas that are used to tweak numbers, which might include just cost escalation and so forth, or if there are planned, say, raises in salary and benefits for state workers. So those get factored in. And then the second part of that is going to be any special projects. So those are due in October. And, so these are an array of positions to expand Christie's area. So we have a request for one educator, would also involve the kind of re-ask of funds for the Early Childhood Learning Center, which we've now redubbed the Young Explorer Center. And so that's how the budgets will then end up changing. So you get your base budget that's based upon the last budget, but with like price escalation and other factors formulaically rolled into it, coupled with the special projects or staff requests that you have. And that's basically the procedure.
Gotcha. And is it is it only for that top line Commonwealth support number, or do you submit like an entire budget breakdown by revenues and expenses by category like we see here?
No, it would all kind of run out under the Commonwealth support.
Gotcha. So the additional appropriation, if let's say, God forbid, we're at our next meeting and we still don't have a budget, would you just still use that 3207 184 until we get one, or do you use the one that included the additional appropriation that you got that you weren't expecting?
Okay, yeah, so it's a good question. We would use the 3.207, and the governor gave us a formula. So Jonathan has that, and it takes into account escalation, inflation, and other factors. It's not going to be a huge difference, right?
Sure.
But we're going to go into we've moved into this biennium with the assumption that we're going to be a little closer to maybe 3.3 rather than $3.2 million.
So even though we don't know what the number is, based on the actuals from last year, you're already essentially able to have a working budget for the next year. You just have to wait for that final number to come in.
I just don't know what the final pot's going to be.
Gotcha.
You know,
Gotcha.
is the thing. So we're being a little cautious right now. No one's, running around, requesting big ticket items or anything like that.
Right.
So we're not going to get like another zero-turn mower that's probably overpriced from a certain vendor that we have to use. So
Sure.
so yeah, that's just kind of how we play the game. This isn't the first time this has happened. It won't be the last time this has happened. It's just kind of part of the way the state does business.
And
Gotcha, thank you.
You've got some thoughts in your back pocket you don't need to bring out, that where you can find a little money if you need to find a little money, I presume.
Oh yeah. So our
yeah.
revenues are in really good shape.
Yeah.
So we've carried over a lot of our revenues. We just actually had a dinosaur festival, 3 weeks ago or something. And I don't have the final numbers. That will be in next quarter's report, right? But we generated a lot of revenues for that. So that gives us some insurance. On top of that, the foundation is doing a lot better.
Right.
And, than it was just say like, I don't know, say you go to around the time of like 15, 16, 17, 18, something like that. The numbers that they have provide us with kind of that, just that margin of comfort that allows us to operate effectively without, doing anything crazy to, put us in a dangerous position, given that we don't know what the final budget amount will really be.
Right. Okay, great. Well,
So I'll just say that I feel comfortable.
That works for me.
Good. Okay, great. Thanks for helping us out to understand that a little better, Joe. And so I'm going to just push to you now for the ED report.
Yeah, okay. And just as a reminder for tomorrow, the board will vote to accept the financial report. But that's not necessary here at the executive committee meeting.
Cord should have that in hand.
Yep.
If not, you and I pick that up.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
Do we expect a quorum, by the way?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anybody on his committee that is the backup? I'm just thinking if there should be a standing thing where, if the chair can't be there, someone from the committee jumps in.
Yeah, it's a good point. I don't know that we have identified said person. But the good news is we had plenty of people there at the committee meeting. So if something has happened such that Cord is jammed up and just cannot participate in this quarter's board meetings, I'm sure I could get some backup in place from one of the committee members.
Yeah.
That was actually one of our better attended finance meetings.
Wow, great. It's
Yeah.
good news.
Mark, should I just move into the ED?
Yeah, go right ahead, Joe.
Okay, I've already mentioned the festival and attendance success. So overall, what you'll hear from Ryan during his advancement report tomorrow is that this was the first year that we ever exceeded 10,000 total festival participants and exceeded $100,000 in revenues, going back just a few years. And he's given some historic data. If you look at his advancement report, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. We didn't have a sniff of numbers like that, so they are a good business model for us and so forth. In another aspect of museum operation, we've got new personnel on board, this past fiscal year. So if you've had a chance to meet some of them, you'll meet Bethany tomorrow. And of course, research and collections is now at its largest size, thanks to hiring Ariana Kuhn and the herpetology/mammalogy research technician, Marshall Boyd. On top of that as well, of course, Cultural Heritage Monitoring Lab has hired a whole cadre of analysts. So they have 4 remote workers that are doing work for the lab very effectively. And the good thing too is, we do have an administration that is it gave a crackdown on telecommuting, right? You're working remotely and so forth. But we put in the justification, the fact that these are all people hired from outside dollars, with the exception of Bill, who is he's full-time permanent on our accounts. And we've got nothing but good support from the governor's office for those requests. So in terms of personnel, we have the largest staff, including the largest research and collection staff we've had during the entire time that I've been here. So I think we're doing pretty well there. Major projects, Jonathan and I joined our architectural teams in front of the Art and Architecture Review Board in Richmond. I think that was just last week. And so they had on their agenda the Gene S. Adams Education Pavilion as well as VMNH Waynesboro. Gene S. Adams was a final approval from that body, and they didn't even discuss it. They just voted to approve it. So it was, of course, a very simple project. So with the contractor in hand and approval from AARB, the contractor can move forward. So they're making all the arrangements to begin the demolition of the back patio and arrange for a concrete company to start pouring. So
Nice.
we're fully expecting and are expecting of them work starting in September. So it's even possible we have a great majority of it done by the next board meeting. So fingers crossed. It's been a long road there. As far as VMNH Waynesboro campus, and Cindy, I know you're just getting a little bit up to speed on that. Just make mention is we were also on the Art and Architecture Review Board agenda last week as well. And in that project, that was the initial approval from the first part of detailed design. And man, we sat in. That was a terrible meeting, not for us, but UVA was there, VCU was there, Virginia Tech was there. I can't remember who all was there. And they had these buildings, and God, they raked them over the coals. I mean, I was like entirely, I was shocked. I could not believe, the level of detail they went into, and really kind of gave them all the smackdown. So it got to us, and they argued amongst themselves whether the green panels should be on top of the blue panels, or the blue panels should be on top of the green panels, and we just let it go, right? And they did all that, and then as it turns out, one of them, he's quite elderly, it seemed anyway, but he apparently was born and raised in Waynesboro. So he then just went and waxed poetic for about 20 minutes, on his time living in that city and stuff. And then they turned around and said, okay, you guys are good to go. So that was nice to see that our architects are doing a really good job. And most importantly, and the reason we picked them, they're doing everything by the expectations of the Commonwealth of Virginia, which our previous architects during preliminary design, preliminary design, pre-design, whatever they called it, they didn't have that experience, and that led to some issues.
That must have made your staff feel good too, Joe, to sort of watch that at play. The others getting a little bit extra questions, and you guys having the chance to have been so well prepared that you got pushed through.
Oh, there were high fives all around, Mark.
Yeah.
So
that was outstanding.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it. I didn't.
Makes me feel good about my how my taxes are being spent.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I don't know. I was a little shocked because I like the projects. I mean, the Virginia Tech one was just oh no, I'm sorry. This was UVA. It was just a power plant kind of hidden in the back. And they had more questions about the design of this power plant, than I thought they should have, but yeah, eye opener. So again, kind of going back to the schedule here, we're in the capital pool. We have made the request. We've submitted all our forms. And we will have to submit the work that we've done to date by October for what stage are we in now, for the detailed design. And at that point, we're going to hope for the best. So we've got everyone in place who is reaching out to their legislators. The city of Waynesboro has retained a lobbyist because they are a big fan of this project, obviously. So said lobbyist is going to be doing what he can behind the scenes to grease the skids and so forth. We still are in the 6-year capital outlay plan as a priority 1 project. Now, that said, we do have a governor who's not keen on real estate, right? His whole thing is that he feels, and there's probably something to be said about this, that the state has too much real estate and we should be looking at things more efficiently. I just hope he doesn't see us the way he would see like someone offering up to build a new office building, right? Clearly, we have a different mission than that. So hopefully that message is going to get through. So we have a lot of avenues of advocacy going forward. And of course, Tom, tomorrow during the Waynesboro Advocacy Committee meeting, will have a full report. Other than that, I'll just say that, I think we ended the fiscal year really well. The staff is in really good shape. We got, what looks to be the continued trend of recovery. If there's one pattern that I'd like to see us overcome, and it's not, we don't have full control of this, but it's Christie's operation, and you may hear from her tomorrow about, while they're slammed, they're completely booked, but schools are booking them for them going out into the schools, right? Summer camps are slammed. Homeschool is completely full, right? But what we're not getting is the school buses. And that's reflective in our annual attendance. We had, I think, 26,000, which is, gosh, that's 17,000 fewer than what we had in the last full fiscal year before COVID, right? So we're not back up to that level in terms of people coming through our front doors, despite the festival success. But a lot of that is attributable to the fact that the schools have not gotten back to putting kids on buses and sending them on field trips. I've heard a lot about that. Christy can give you the details, everything from availability of drivers to funding issues. It's same old questions. They kind of got exasperated, and they have not come back since COVID. So that's one kind of hurdle that we have right now that I would love for us to try to overcome this current fiscal year. So good news too is Ryan in particular has generated a lot of through the foundation has generated a lot of partnerships, and they're sponsoring school group resources. So the schools aren't necessarily needing to pay for transportation or for the school programs. So it's just going to be a matter of advocacy in the schools to kind of turn their attitude around to bring the school buses back to the museum. And that would be my ED's report.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate that. In terms of old business, just I think everyone's aware that in tomorrow's meeting, we will be going into a closed session during that meeting for the purposes of the review of the executive director. All board members have received a couple of documents in that regard. One is Joe's actual self-evaluation, as well as the supporting docs that Joe submitted on that. And then we had started for the first time this year the concept of 360-degree evaluation by the senior team. And so we've had the opportunity to get some feedback there, which I shared as well with the board, and we'll go into closed session and discuss that tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that. Yes, Cindy.
Sir, do you need a closed session script?
I actually have it from Joe. So
Okay.
Yeah, and I will never ever again be sir. My daddy was sir. I'm just
Sorry.
I'm just Mark.
I'm retired. I'm retired Army Reserve JAG.
That's
so
all right.
I'm
a military brat. I get it.
Now, Mark, it is there is no hard and formal list of instructions for the board and how you evaluate me,
Mhm.
right? And I'm just saying that in all of the previous years, the executive committee had chosen to go into closed session without me to do whatever it is that they do, right?
Mhm.
I don't know, right? And then they call me back in, give me
Right.
some input, and then that process is repeated with the full board. But as far as I know, it's completely up to you all how you want to do that.
Yeah, I think so. This will be actually my first meeting was the first time so I've been through two of them already. So this is I think it is worth going into that closed session, especially as we're going through the 360-degree process. You know, for the first time, and I think you know, not saying anything out of school. I think we'll probably have some recommendations on how we can continue to improve that process. You know, and I think that will be helpful to everybody. And I think since it's the first time we're going through that, I think as a board, we need to sort of decide how we want to discuss that back with you, because I think it's really important, that feedback. So all good. Yeah, let's do the closed. I don't know how we get you turned off and turned on. I guess you just turn yourself off and I text you when we're ready to bring you back in.
Actually, Zach's going to put the four of you into what do you call it, a dialogue room or?
No, that's tomorrow. I don't think we need to do anything closed today, do we?
Oh, no, I don't know that you need to, but
No, we don't. I don't think
Okay,
so,
all right,
Roberto. No,
okay.
no, nothing today.
I
Okay.
think we'd all need to be here anyway if we were gonna do that.
Yeah, we'll do that tomorrow. We don't need to do that today.
Fair enough. Okay, no, that's fine, and it'll be the same thing though, that Zach is going to put you all into a room where you will not be live.
Right.
You'll read the language. He'll move you, and then when you come out, you read the language. I'm sorry, you read the language. Go into closed session. When you're ready, it'll be something like you're going to invite me into the room or something like that. Zach will take care of that. And then when you come out of closed session, you read the language and everything's fine.
Right. So I just need to know if I need to have discussion, or I have to have some way to contact Zach to flip it back, or just get with you and Zach will put you in that room, I guess.
Yeah, I'll make sure we have that ready.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. All right.
And please-
No, I'm
please
good with
don't-
that. Go ahead, Cindy.
Please don't forget that I actually come to closed session also,
Oh,
just to
good.
make, and before you go out of closed session, if you want Joe to be able to hear your thoughts, you bring him in before you go out of closed session.
Aha. Okay. Thank you. Good. All right. And we will do that.
It
You
keeps
know,
the HR privacy in the private room.
right. Exactly. Okay.
Did
All
you
right,
get
great.
anything from Lisa? If she's not going to be there, any feedback that we needed to consider from?
So Lisa and I had shared some emails back and forth, and I think there've been some conversations back with Joe. So you know, I think we're pretty good on that. And I did not get any. In fact, Joe, I think I mentioned to you when I sent the materials out to the board, I asked for people to confirm that they'd received them, and I got very few confirmations. So
Yeah.
but that may just be people not confirming. So Nathan, did you get them?
I did. I apologize for not.
That's all right. I'm just busting chops. That's all right.
Another good topic for closed session?
Yes. Yeah, no, I think it may be. All right. So we won't need to do any closed session today. And then, of course, we'll talk about briefly at the end of the meeting tomorrow that our next board meeting will be up in the mountains, up in Stanton, at the Frontier Museum. So I'm looking forward to seeing that for the first time, and that'll be good fun. So
And just so you all know, we booked rooms at the Blackburn Conference Center. Does anyone know the background of the Blackburn Conference Center?
no.
Anybody? It's the old insane asylum.
Cool. Don't
Yeah.
forget me.
No, you're invited. So
Couldn't
anyway,
be more appropriate.
no, it'll be an overnight Friday, Saturday, and we'll make sure we have dinner plans of some sort that people
Yeah.
can enjoy. But the cool, creepy architecture is wonderful. The rooms are very comfortable, and I will also say there's a spiral staircase that leads to something very special. So you'll have a chance to walk the grounds as well as the historic buildings.
What's that place called?
Blackburn Inn and Conference Center.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, great. Then I think we've covered everything that was on the agenda for today. And if that's the case, then I'm going to ask for somebody to approve an adjournment of this meeting. Then is everybody good with adjourning at this point? All right. Cindy, thank you for attending. Nathan, Roberto, as always, and Joseph, thank you for all the support.
Okay,
Thank you so
Mark.
much.
All
Thanks,
right.
Roberto and Nathan. Thanks, Cindy.
everybody.
See
Have a
Y'all
good
have a
night.
great
tomorrow.
weekend.
I'll see you in the morning. Bye.
Right. I'll
Bye.
see y'all tomorrow too. Bye.
Yeah.